This is NTV.
Giraffe is named after the renowned British zoologist Lionel Walter Rothschild. It's the second most endangered giraffe subspecies with only a few hundred members. All of those that are living in the wild are in protected areas in Uganda and Kenya. The Rothschild giraffes have the basic appearance of other giraffe subspecies: long legs, a long neck with 7 elongated vertebrae,
Kenya Defence Forces find 4 more bodies in the search for soldiers aboard UPDF attack helicopters that crashed in Kenya. The mystery of the fate of UPDF soldiers who have been missing since Sunday when 3 attack helicopters went down in the Mount Kenya area has now been resolved, closing the chapter perhaps for families and friends who had been hoping against hope.
Also tonight, the mini cabinet reshuffle gets an unexpected result as minister is ejected from a committee of session in parliament. And
terrorist groups plotting new tactics. It's this story that forms part of our poll question tonight, so be sure to have your say.
It's Thursday night, the 16th of August 2012. A very warm welcome to NTV Tonight. First, let's take you straight to the rest of tonight's headlines.
Anti-terror police warn of the new tactics by terror groups seeking to strike in the country.
Critics lash out at cabinet. IGG says ministers implicated in graft still have a case to answer.
Also coming up tonight, Parliament pays tribute to Olympic gold medalist Ntv Kiprotich in a special sitting.
Thank you for joining us in this edition of NTV Tonight. I'm Gabriel Apeno.
And I am Rachel Arinitwe. First tonight, Security Minister Muruli Mukasa, who had led officials from Kampala Capital City Authority to defend their budgetary estimates before the Physical Infrastructure Committee of Parliament, as acting minister in charge of the presidency, was today sent out of the committee for reasons that he is no longer in charge of KCCA after President Yoweri Museveni's reshuffle.
The chairman of the committee, Gabriel Jedra, who was also appointed State Minister for Investment, was also told not to chair the committee again, as he has now become a member of the executive.
Agnes Nanditu brings us the details.
Security Minister Muruli Mukasa has also been acting as minister in charge of the presidency and therefore responsible for the Kampala Capital City Authority. And for that matter, he had today led a delegation from KCCA to defend their 2011-2012 budgetary estimates before the Physical Infrastructure Committee of Parliament, but the MPs could not let him to do so after President Yoweri Museveni yesterday issued a new instrument appointing new ministers.
Muruli Mukasa should not think that he is a minister in the President's office.
The work of the committee came to a standstill as MPs shouted on top of their voices, accusing Muruli Mukasa of masquerading himself as a minister in charge of the presidency, yet the portfolio was given to Kibale MP Frank Atumwebaze.
May I also request one of our colleagues to withdraw the statement that the minister is a masquerader. He can continue sitting in this meeting if he's not masquerading. Mr. Chairman, if we are asking him to get out, there is no way I am going to withdraw that statement.
Mr. Chairman, Member of Parliament,
order. I can sit here.
Chairman, order. You cannot validate.
When you are sitting in the cabinet,
You cannot be part and parcel of the backbenchers.
Dokolo District Mani MP Cecilia Ogwalu was tasked to take Mururi out of the committee.
I can escort you outside. I'm in charge of security in this committee.
Okay. Finally, Mr. Chairman.
His resistance and pleas to remain in the committee fell on deaf ears as MPs forced him out of the committee.
Same measure, the chairman should also be escorted out.
MPs say he can only appear with KCCA officials backed by a mandate from the appointing authority. Agnes Nandutu, NTV, Parliament.
Well, some critics have described yesterday's cabinet reshuffle as a move to strengthen incumbency more than service delivery. This as President Museveni filled several vacant positions within his cabinet but also retained the old guard. Separately, the Inspectorate of Government says ministers Sam Kutesa, John Nasasira and Mwesigwa Rukutana still have a case to answer despite their new appointment as cabinet ministers. The trio faced charges of mismanagement of over 14 billion shillings during Chogam preparations. Sudhir Virahanga with that story.
Mangutya Ndebesa, a senior history don at Makerere University, believes the selection of the entire cabinet is based on political strategy rather than service delivery, religious and ethnic balance.
In terms of religious balancing, I have seen comments from Muslims that actually they have been left out. They have not been given the throat.
Grandfather Simon Lokodo.
Ndebesa says the cabinet is bloated, translating a move that will strain the taxpayers.
I don't know whether one of these days Parliament may not have to come up with an act specifying how many people or how many cabinet members we should have.
The new cabinet comes at a time when the ruling party NRM has lost 7 seats in the by-elections, which analysts say it is a good timing for the president to have more party mobilizers in the cabinet, like Richard Todwong, as a move to create a difference in the party's landmark.
A few of them will be doing the service delivery supervision. The others will be doing political work, paid for by the taxpayer instead of paid for by the political party.
There are also fears that some of the ministries have been overcrowded with big shots like the Prime Minister's office that has the First Lady Janet Kataha Museveni, Prime Minister Mama Mbabazi and the current General Duties Minister John Nasasira.
I can see a stepping on each other's toes, both politically and even in geographical space.
Meanwhile, the IGG has told NTV that the 3 cabinet ministers, Sam Kutesa, John Nasasira and Mwesigwa Rukutana, reappointed by the president, have got a case to answer.
One was abuse of office, which was contrary to Section 11 of the Anti-Corruption Act, and the other charge was causing financial loss, which was contrary to Section 20 of the Anti-Corruption Act.
The ministers stepped aside 10 months ago to allow investigations into allegations of graft to continue. However, the IGG says the charges against the 3 cannot in any way influence the president's decision, since the ministers have not yet been found guilty.
We can only wait to see the outcome of the court case to be able to see whether they shouldn't have actually been reappointed or not.
Critics say that corruption can undermine the socio-economic development, service delivery and stability of the country. Therefore, it's a vice that needs to be vigorously fought, but that can only be done with concerted efforts from the public and also the authorities in charge. For the case of the 3 newly appointed ministers, court will determine their fate. Sudhir Virahanga, NTV.
Police have warned of new terror tactics that could be used to cause havoc in Uganda and the region. Addressing government officials today, officers from the Joint Anti-Terrorism Task Force intimated that the possibility of terrorists employing the use of border borders or the telecom money transfer system to aid their intentions is imminent. Senior government employees could also be targets, according to the police, who say that a number of Ugandans continue to be recruited by terror groups like the Al-Shabaab.
We need to do a lot to sensitize our people. Then there is cyber.
Police have continued to warn of the changing faces of terrorism and its unpredictability, both in nature and occurrence. The fight against terror, however, still faces challenges, with some of the loopholes being the poorly monitored movement of firearms that enter the country and the unchecked transfer of money on telecom networks.
We are having a major threat. So many firearms are coming in the country and they are not monitored. There are so many who come with firearms, they enter through our airports, and at times maybe they declare, but some of them when they are going back, they don't have the firearms. Where do they go? We have a challenge of mobile money, whereby people can carry out transactions as often as they want and at any time of day.
Although assassinations are not commonplace within the region, this, according to the police, could be a method employed to target especially high-profile people in society in a bid by terrorists to disturb the peace.
Terrorists are proposing new tactics, like they are planning to assassinate government officials, where I'm sure, Honorable Minister and ladies and gentlemen, we all fall under the government officials. This is not to scare you, but it's the fact, and we need to put measures in place.
Conflict is also fertile ground that terrorist cells thrive on, taking advantage of insecurity to infiltrate borders. This too remains a challenge.
In the volatile situation in Somalia and DRC, that facilitates safe havens for the terrorists. Like we all know, ADF has their bases in DRC. Then Somalia is the training ground or the breeding ground for Al-Shabaab. And those people are comfortably allowed in there. And in as long as they are tolerated around there, or in as long as they are not wiped out of there, then they will do their trainings, they will prepare to come and attack us, and it will continue to challenge us.
Internal Affairs Minister Matia Kasaija, however, stressed that the onus is on every Ugandan to ensure the security of those around them and urged utmost vigilance if the threat is to be contained.
We can't have a police officer at everybody's residence. We can't have a bodyguard for every city. It's not possible. So really the first person to ensure there is security is the individual, as individuals.
Uganda, like its neighbor Kenya, has been blacklisted by various terrorist groups given its strong participation on the world stage in fighting terror. AMISOM forces in Somalia have continued to gain more ground against the Al-Shabaab, who have not only claimed responsibility for several attacks in Kenya, but Uganda as well.
Well, Matia Kasaija is now the State Minister for Planning. He was formerly the State Minister for Internal Affairs. A quick correction there. Well, this is on this issue that we would like to get your views on, and we are asking on NTV poll tonight, how can the country protect itself from new threats posed by terrorist groups? I'll say it again. How can the country protect itself from new threats posed by terror groups?
To have your say and contribute to NTV poll tonight, the number is 8778. Remember to leave your name and where you are texting from. We will be reading your comments and responses during tonight's newscast.
Well, we've not had the last of Stephen Kiprotich. Government is to pay monthly allowances to sportsmen and women who excel at the international scene. The head of government business and also Prime Minister Amama Mbabazi revealed that all those who excel in the sports discipline will also be given jobs in government agencies, especially in security organs. This revelation was made as the August House in honor of Ugandan gold medalist Stephen Kiprotich. Meanwhile, Kampala Capital City Authority is considering naming one of the city roads after the athlete. Solomon Seranja reports.
Olympic gold medalist Stephen Kiprotich arrived at Parliament at about 2:15 p.m. He was welcomed by legislators from all political disciplines. It was full house as members of Parliament honored the Ugandan hero for bringing the only gold medal home from the 2012 London Olympics. As part of rewarding those that excel in sports at the international scene, the leader of government business in Parliament, John Patrick Amama Mbabazi, revealed that all those that will bring any medal home will be given a monthly allowance and jobs in government agencies.
Those who wish to be employed in government will be employed. Anyone who has attained that level and wishes to be employed in government. In fact, those who attain this level will be entitled to be employed by government unless they don't so wish.
Kiprotich will also enjoy his cash contributions tax-free after Finance Minister Maria Chiwanuka revealed that government will clear all taxes due.
The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development will shoulder the tax burden of any taxes due to URA on the prices given to this sector.
Other legislators are advocating for government to set up sports institutions to nurture young talent.
Government should open a national university for sports, and Ugandans should be given an opportunity to take sports as a profession, not as a last resort.
Meanwhile, Kampala Capital City Authority is considering naming a road after the marathon superstar.
We are looking at what it will involve technically, but I think it's possible. I think Kiprotich deserves a name in the city so that we can remember, like we have Luwum Street.
Solomon Serwanja, NTV Parliament.
We'll take a break. NTV Tonight returns with this and so much more.
Kampala youth get the nod to access 3.3 billion shillings youth fund for the district.
And on Eco Talk this week, the race to save Lake Victoria choking from the water hyacinth. NTV Tonight returns after this break. Do stay with us.
This is NTV.
Fieldwork has been defined by different scholars. Some think it is an art.
These are the blood types that are in human beings. We have A.
When a chemical reaction takes place, it involves two things.
We are given a straight line that has been denoted by 2x minus y is equal to 6.
I'm knocking. A message yali ku the last piece of a jambia yali muhadi wa yo.
No, bloody way, holy moly.
We've just met. How can I be your friend? Mr. Rashmore. Okuzimba nyumba nga kintu kizibu nnyo banange mugumire mu bupangisa.
I'm called Olar Oton. There's no English name. Just like resistors, Yakazol.
Yeah, blame you. You have option of getting international husband. Why do you get the local?
New time.
I'm knocking. A message yali ku the last.
No one feels the motherland like we do. So tune in every day at 6 p.m. and Fridays from 11 p.m. for the best in homegrown music. Only on NTV, the station that celebrates local music talent. No one feels the motherland like...
What's life? Is life ugly?
Welcome back. You're watching NTV Tonight. We'll start with a reminder of our poll question tonight, and we are asking what should be done, or how can the country protect itself from new threats posed by terrorists? What can the country do to protect itself from new threats posed by terrorist groups?
Well, Javia, say text your comment or contribution to 8778. Please do include your name and where you're contributing from. We shall read some just now.
Yasin in Kampala is saying we are being guarded by God, otherwise there are a lot of loopholes in our intelligence, and the solution is to defend the country outside of its borders, like what the UPDF is doing in Somalia.
Okay, Katongole Fred, you say government should build defined border structures, tighten security there, and toughen immigration policies, and citizens also should be conscious of new people coming into the country.
All right, there's still time for you to have your say. The number is 8778. Remember to leave your name and where you're texting from. We'll read a few more at the very end of tonight's newscast.
Okay. Tonight, 4 more bodies have been recovered this evening in Mount Kenya, where 3 Ugandan choppers crashed on Sunday.
This now brings the number of the dead to 7.
Well, government yesterday named 2 of the dead and 21 other survivors.
The rescue team from the Kenyan and Ugandan military police, Kenya Wildlife Services, have been searching for the missing soldiers since Sunday when 3 Mi-24 helicopter gunships crashed on their way to Somalia.
When the accident occurred on Sunday, one of the choppers was sighted on Monday morning and 7 soldiers rescued before they were taken to Nanyuki airstrip. The soldiers had sent a signal to the Department of Defense headquarters for help, and by yesterday, government said 21 soldiers had survived. They were lucky that the choppers in which they were traveling in did not catch fire, but the 3rd one was burnt to ashes. And by this evening, the missing 4 soldiers have finally been found and confirmed dead at the scene.
Well, they were found trapped in the wreckage. However, the weather interrupted the recovery, so they hope to resume recovery process tomorrow morning. So we now can confirm that all the 7 of that chopper perished.
Government yesterday announced that they had recovered the body of Lieutenant Robert Mushabe. Others were Captain William Leti and Lieutenant Patrick Nahamia. Government is due to disclose the identity of the 4 after informing their relatives.
Well, I have the names already, but I have to confirm whether the next of kin have been notified before I can make them public.
Kenya military spokesperson Bogita Ongeri says the rescue team could not interfere with the scene on Tuesday after not seeing the body of 2nd Lieutenant Robert Mushabe because the chopper was still burning, which created fear that some of the weapons on board could explode. The bodies will be flown to Nairobi from the scene of the accident. Survivors return tomorrow.
Well, first of all, in the morning we are going to receive the survivors, and the media has been invited to cover their arrival at the airbase tomorrow. And then thereafter we shall inform the country how the other 4 will also come in, because I think these who are coming in will come with the first 3 bodies as well.
President Yoweri Museveni set up a probe headed by General Salim Saleh to investigate the accidents, while President Kibaki of Kenya has pledged to help in establishing the cause of the crash. The 4 choppers, 3 of which crashed, were destined for Baidoa and Garissa in Somalia when they went missing on Sunday. Only one Mi-17 made it to Garissa as scheduled. Jingo Francis, NTV.
Now, the Uganda AIDS Commission says over 300 new HIV infections are recorded every day in the country. Most of the recorded infections are among the adults above the age of 25 who, despite all the calls for behavioral change, continue with the same risky behavior. Most of the affected are men between the ages of 40 and 45. Josephine Karunji reports.
Uganda was once highly praised and recognized for its very formidable fight against the spread of HIV/AIDS. That praise has now been moved to countries like Rwanda, where the information on how to curb its spread does not stop at documentation, but is actually implemented with results to show. Officials from the Uganda AIDS Commission say this fight should not be left to them alone.
We just need to re-engage the leadership, to engage each of us at our different levels.
There are over 1 million people in the country living with HIV, with 129,000 infections reported annually.
We've slackened in our behavior, we've slackened in our responses to prevent the disease.
While the message has been promoted that starting an infected pregnant woman on antiretroviral drugs and her newly born baby early drastically reduces the chances of the baby getting HIV, the women are not paying attention. 25,000 babies are born each year with HIV. Reports indicate that most people do not know their HIV status.
They are being careless with their lives. They don't even know whether they are positive or negative.
The most affected group is those people living with partners and those who are married. It seems university students and secondary school students seem to be paying more attention to the calls for abstinence and safe sex. Josephine Karunji, NTV.
The Health Ministry has ruled out an outbreak of Ebola in the Eastern District of Mbale after samples taken from 2 alert cases turned out negative. A third patient remains admitted at the hospital, and medical personnel say his condition should not be any cause for alarm. Florence Nauyemba reports.
The over 400,000 residents in Mbale district can now exhale after the release of tests of 2 highly suspected Ebola patients.
We got results from Ntv, which have shown that the 2 cases are negative for Ebola.
The third suspect, who had been to South Sudan, whose results have not yet been returned, is also not considered worrying.
We have ever had it in 2004, 2007 and 2010. The current thing, he used to get that nose bleeding.
He is suspected to have another kind of unexplainable virus. The Ebola scare in Mbale led to some sections of the hospital being cordoned off on Wednesday, but that has now been lifted.
But we are still on alert. You know, we are not taking anything for granted.
The National Task Force from the Ministry of Health is in place in the district overseeing any new developments.
We have also requested from the Ministry to provide us with additional protective gears.
And the same message of taking extra precaution continues to be sent out to the public.
Hand washing, hygiene, and we avoid body-to-body contact like sweat, blood, saliva from people who are suspected.
Although countrywide many people could still be fearful of a possible outbreak after a recent one in Chivale in which 16 people died, the Ministry of Health continues to report progress there, with 46 people now released from Kagadi Hospital while only 2 remain admitted. Florence Nalimba, NTV.
The Youth Fund saga that culminated in 2 clashes between Kampala Capital City Authority officials and Kampala's youth appears to be resolved now. KCCA's Executive Director Jennifer Musisi says all the money, about 3.3 billion shillings, will be accessed through Centenary Bank under its loan conditions. Irene Namialo reports.
This is one of the ugly scenes in which the youth were demonstrating at the KCCA, wanting to know about the Youth Fund a couple of weeks ago. One of the reasons attributed to such chaos has been the delayed decision by KCCA to decide on which organization should distribute the money to the youths. Banks were not an option when the fund was first introduced because of the 15% interest rate levied on the loans, yet the loans were said to be interest-free during the launch of the Youth Fund. However, though the youth demonstrated against the whole idea, KCCA has made an ultimate decision on the matter as announced today.
Following a decision of the authority, the funds for the youth can now be accessed through Centenary Bank. What we are finalizing now is the memorandum of understanding between KCCA and Centenary Bank. And once this is finalized, which is going to be very soon, the funds will be available and an announcement to the effect will be made.
Meanwhile, as this decision was being taken, another anonymous person was sending messages to different people that the funds will be distributed today at Nachivubo Blue. But Jennifer Musisi disputes this.
I'm not aware of any invitation to any youth this morning on any matter. So whoever invited them was masquerading as KCCA. I hope they've been arrested because that's illegal.
400 groups were identified from different groups of Kampala, and KCCA had already released 1 billion shillings to 140 registered groups. 3.3 billion shillings was allocated as youth fund to the Kampala youth. Irene Namialo, NTV.
Lake Victoria, shared among East African countries, is facing a serious threat from the water hyacinth once again, a deadly weed that has wreaked havoc on urban water supply systems, marine transport and fishing. On the Kenyan side, it is partly propelled by the pollution of the lake waters in the industrialized town of Kisumu. But now initiatives are being taken to reduce the damage, which could take years to reverse. Craig Kadoda was in Kisumu and brings us the details in this week's Eco Talk.
This lake seems to be very clear. But when you take a closer look, soon you realize that the water has a brownish color. And thriving in such, patches of water hyacinth float by on the water that has very high tides. This water hyacinth has been piling up along the shores, colonizing the entire shoreline. It is now blooming. But how did this all happen?
The water hyacinth has bred so heavily, not because of anything, but it's because of the heavy pollution and the siltation that comes from the catchment areas through River Nyando and others. So in the end of it, it sort of provides heavy manure fertilizer in form of silt.
Described as one of the fastest growing plants known, the water hyacinth is coexisting with the napier grass, and the two have both for a long time staked their claim on the shores. Research reveals that the presence of the hyacinth is man-made, especially considering the high levels of pollution in the lake that are blamed on the high numbers of industries located in Kisumu that dump their waste into the water.
Because of the industrial effluent that in some cases is not treated, as well as the urban municipal waste of the surrounding towns that are yet to have proper sewerage facilities. So in other words, Kisumu is a case of where we have a huge problem of managing waste.
The weed has from the early 90s blocked fishing boats and landing sites and communal water points along the lake shore. The hyacinth, scientifically known as Eichonia craspes, has long fibrous roots. The spongy tissues in its stem enables it to float in water. It grows in clusters, forming floating mats in the lake. And, according to scientists, the weed spreads out at an alarming rate, doubling its biomass every 15 days. This has been worsened by the communities that have settled around the lake.
Private companies have encroached on the lake because the lake should, I think, there are laws that allow us to have, I think, 200 meters before on the banks. The idea is to allow not the silts not to come in, to allow breeding of fish to happen.
Unfortunately, a plan to save the lake shared by the three East African countries of Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, and funded by the World Bank and the Global Environment Facility, GEF, has made very little impact, especially in Kenya, where the first phase is behind schedule by 2 years.
I would want to urge the World Bank to really address the issue of delays in allowing the implementation teams in the countries to move forward, because there's a big space between when the request for the implementation countries is done, the implementation teams at the country level is done, and the World Bank approves.
Conservationists argue that the weed can be controlled by mechanical means, manpower and machines, But this has been mostly unsuccessful since the weed grows faster than mechanical clearance can cope with. Various herbicides were also effective but have significant risks for other wetland biodiversity. The lake is a shared resource between Kenya with 6%, Uganda 45% and Tanzania 49%. Kwekadoda, NTV Ecotalk.
Now we're going to take a very short break, and coming up after that is Malcolm Messina with the latest in NTV Business.
He can continue sitting in this meeting if he's not masquerading. Mr. Chairman, but if we are asking him to get out, there is no way I am going to withdraw that statement.
Ideally, we all have the right to express our opinions and views truthfully and openly.
Tugenda katongole mbukasam.
Kampala the discussion is still going on in the bus.
Tulina okugumira challenges ezimu bwe tuba tulina okugoba abatembeeyi mwami lukwaga agumaga abatembeeyi mugende mbadde ndala kunyonyola omwami yagambye nti meya lukwago ye meya omutuufu gavumenti ekutte lukwago emunyigira mu nsonda takyekyusa.
Welcome back to Minibus Kyogereko.
Singa omusajja abankwana nga njagala sifa ku kya ssente wabula nfa ku mbeera ye
alimba ono
This is Minibus Kyogereko.
Chichi.
What's life?
Is life ugly?
Is it spiritual?
Maybe.
Greetings to you all. Thank you for watching NTV. My name is Malcolm Sima and you're welcome to NTV Business. First, after the Vision 2025 being unsuccessful, now the challenges with implementing the National Development Plan. Government has a task of implementing the 2040 vision to be unveiled at this year's 50th Independence Anniversary celebration. As NTV's Samuel Situma reports, the vision, which is meant to transform Uganda into a middle-income economy, by 2040 faces many bottlenecks, with poor service delivery and corruption being the key ones.
These are permanent secretaries of government ministries here to discuss and hammer out a new Vision 2040 for Uganda that should be launched come Independence Day this year.
Ugandans are not happy with the service delivery they are getting. They want to get better service delivery. How do we get there? It is not only the morals, the mindset, it is not only the money, but also to know the critical path we should undertake. It is in light of that we have now to take, we can think of a vision. But a vision to be successful must be a shared vision.
Besides contending with the question of service delivery, there are other critical issues that will make sure Uganda's aspiration to emulate the likes of Singapore and Malaysia will not be realized unless tackled.
The key thing is for really Uganda to create atmosphere where it is more attractive for investors, local and external, to invest in Uganda. Secondly, the determining factor is population. If the population goes on growing guided, we may not get what is called the population dividend.
Is this Vision 2040 document just want to swell the grandiosity of the 50th independence celebrations? Will it not join other nice, well-written concepts that have had little impact? These are questions left for posterity. Samuel Setumba, NTV Business.
Thank you, Sam. In the financial markets, the shilling has remained fairly stable against the dollar, while in the equity market, the all-share index gained by 5 points with the Stanbic and Nick counters dominating activity at the bounce. We have more in the following report.
Financial Report is brought to you by URA, developing Uganda together.
All vehicles are required to revalidate their registration using our new online module and get a new logbook. All newly imported vehicles will also be registered online using this new online module. Get out of the line and get online.
Now finally on NTV Business Night, the global media presence won for Uganda by this year's Olympic marathon champion Ntv Kiprotich has served to show the effectiveness of sport in promoting brand Uganda. Branding experts contend that government should extend more support to sport, given its proven potential in offering better and inexpensive opportunity of promoting Uganda and its brands, like tourism abroad.
This is the touch of euphoria that greeted the arrival back home of the 2012 London Olympic marathon champion Ntv Kiprotich, who earned gold. However, branding experts are reasoning that going forward, the public and private sector have to hedge on such success associated with sports to promote trade and commerce.
But if you look at what other countries did, they used Olympics as a platform to communicate what other offerings the countries have. I think Kenya is known to have done that. They did not send just the sports team. There was also a sort of economic team going to sell investment opportunities and literally riding on the back of the runners.
To promote our image, both politically and also in the economic sense, in the region, like we can encourage him with the support of government to tour the other parts of the region, because his gold medal is not only for Uganda, it's for the East African region.
They're also reasoning that investment with a well-thought-out branding strategy capable of raising the bar for Uganda, particularly around business prospects, is necessary.
Now, the idea that Uganda is a sophisticated and lovely tourism destination needs to be reinforced every time we get an opportunity.
Be able to use that opportunity to brand our coffee with the Kiprotich on it, and then that village where he comes from could be a tourist destination, and we can invest some money in there to promote that.
With barely 4 months the end of the year, there has been previous global accolades associated with tourism, for example this year, as a destination to visit, but many believe there is barely gain so far. Raina Ojan, NTV Business.
That's all we had for you from the business desk, and if you want to catch more Kiprotich magic, Joel Kamadi after the break brings you all the sport.
Use side lamps with energy savers instead of overhead lights.
This is NTV.
Life, Chichi.
What's life?
Is life ugly?
Is it spiritual?
Isn't it loved?
And above all, isn't life really drama?
Find out what life is and what it can be every Thursday at 11 p.m. with repeats on Friday and Sunday at 12:30 p.m.
To be honest, it's one of the most scary genres of music for me.
For me every day.
Irifemasi nisu tadi magero.
Good evening and welcome to NTV Sport. I am Joel Kamadi. Now, he won an Olympic gold in the men's marathon, achieving a feat only accomplished by the late Akibua, who won a gold medal in the men's 400-meter hurdles. No other has managed to do this in the last 40 years. He got a hero's welcome at the airport when he arrived yesterday, and he has been promoted in the prison ranks, among many other benefits. Now, earlier, Stephen Kiprotich visited our NTV studio, and I had a chance to have a one-on-one interview with him. Now, what is the first thing your wife said to you when you arrived at the airport?
She was shedding tears.
Of happiness?
Of happiness.
All
She
right.
failed to talk to me.
She failed to talk to you?
And also me too. So
I'm guessing it was also too emotional for you.
yeah, it was too emotional.
How did you feel when you got off the plane and saw all these people waiting for you? Did you expect it?
Yeah, I thought maybe I would get some few people, but when I arrived at the airport, very many people, they turned up. When my place of work, my officers were there waiting for me. The band was so fantastic. I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, there's a question everybody wants to know, and it's going through their minds.
Yeah.
What was running through your mind the moment you grabbed that flag from a spectator who was just standing by the roadside when you were approaching the finish line? Somebody just waved a flag, a lady. How did you see it? Did you see it from afar? How?
Towards the finishing, I checked behind. I keep on checking. The Kenyan athletes are always very fast towards the end. So I was checking behind. So when I checked, there was nobody. When I turned right, left towards the right.
That's when you saw someone.
When I saw someone holding the flag, then I said, no, it is high chance to grab the flag and go towards the finishing. So I did it.
And she just gave it to you?
She gave it to me. She didn't even insist because I just picked the flag. She just released the flag immediately and I go. At the time I crossed the finish line, everything disappeared. I was very happy. I have forgot about them. I saw new things now. You see?
Okay.
People, now I start thinking how my people are feeling. Have I won the medal? It's like I have not won the medal.
Because I saw you kept on looking behind to see if the Kenyans are on your trail.
Exactly. I was asking myself, are they coming? Why? I'm not seeing them. And they are the strong athletes ever. I could fear them, but in cyclosis anything can happen.
Before I let you go, I want us to come up with a dance probably that you can be doing when you win a marathon or something. Can you give us an example of something you can be doing? I can sing the Lingala song for you, you can dance.
Yeah, you can do.
Can I sing for you?
Yes.
And then you'll dance. You'll just stand up a bit and dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope you will sing. I think you will sing. You will sing as we dance together.
Okay, fine. But you have to show me how to dance. Okay. I'll just create a bit.
Yeah.
It has to be more vibrant, huh? So we have agreed.
Yeah.
Every time you win.
Yeah.
That's how you'll be dancing.
Yeah, I will just dance. I dance. I tell people stand up.
Stand
I
up.
go this way. We dance. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
yeah.
for honoring this invitation. Very humble man right there. Now, the Federation of Uganda Football Association has cautioned Uganda Cranes fans against making payments to unknown individuals and companies passing off as their agents for the match to be played between Uganda Cranes and Zambia's Chipolopolo team. The match will be played at Ndola Stadium next month in Zambia's capital, Lusaka. The Federation is set to boost their team support by taking as many fans as possible to watch the games. FUFA spokesperson Rogers Mulindwa tells us more.
So to avoid these other challenges on the way, you know, some people were dumped on the way, the money was not enough, what and what, we had to go by a person who was putting something to travel to Zambia and then coming back. So for all those who are going to use road transport, the right person is Mr. Yusuf Balimno. For those who are using air transport, they are going to use Paros Portal. And as we talk now, 61 people are fully paid up to fly to Ndola. And that chartered flight is 101 people, I'm told, according to Paros Portal officials.
Now finally, in Ntv Sport, Manchester United have sealed the signing of the summer, with Arsenal agreeing to sell Robin van Persie to their Barclays Premier League rivals for £24 million, as Arsenal boss Arsene Wenger has admitted that he would have rather seen Robin van Persie join big spending Paris Saint-Germain rather than enemies Manchester United. After weeks of negotiating with Arsenal and the Holland striker, United have beaten Manchester City and Juventus to Van Persie's signature, and the 29-year-old will have a medical at Old Trafford on Thursday. Van Persie is the first Arsenal player to join United since Viv Anderson in 1987, and the move has reeled Ghana's fans, who took to Twitter to abuse him. United are understood to have agreed a $15 million down payment for last season's Footballer of the Year and player who scored 30 Premier League goals for last season. That will rise to £24 million depending on appearances. Van Persie is expected to sign a 4-year contract worth over £200,000 a week. Alan Zawagev put Russia ahead in the 55th minute with a low free kick through the wall, but former Leeds man Max Gradel hit the crossbar and was first to the rebound to head in an equalizer 12 minutes from time. After 4 years in charge of England, Capello took over from Dick Advocaat, following Russia's failure to make it out of the group stage at the European Championship in June. And that winds up NTV Sport for tonight. Thanks for watching.
And now for a look at Friday's weather forecast.
Before we close tonight's newscast, we'll take you back to NTV poll, and we asked, how can the country protect itself from new threats posed by terrorist groups.
Thank you so much for all of your comments. Let's now sample some of them, starting right now. Wawi Dennis, you say beef up security at the border and congested areas. Uganda is the most reluctant when it comes to security checks at border posts and congested areas like markets, malls, taxi parks and bus stations, even up country, you say.
And Atamba in Mbara is saying, seriously, we do not have the resources, manpower, but it is good to be optimistic. That's a good start.
Vitas Muhere in Nansana, you say security should be beefed up right from local councils to the top. This should be equipped to know all residents in their jurisdiction. This will help identify who is who in a local council, what one does, and this will help to account for the residents in the area.
And finally, Moses Mayombo in Mbara saying expedite national identity cards and revive the practice of reporting visitors to LCs.
Okay, thank you so much for all of your responses. That brings NTV Tonight to a close. Rachel will be back later on with a final roundup of the day's news in NTV Late Night.
Thank you for watching. I'm Rachel Arinitwe.
I'm Biabala Peno. Good night.
This is NTV.
No one feels the motherland like we do. So tune in every day at 6 p.m. and Fridays from 11 p.m. for the best in homegrown music. Only on NTV, the station that celebrates local music talent.
Embeera y'abasajja bano essuubi nga lyakugwamu mama bana abasajja abanaatera n'okujja kusigiriza ffe ekiro basituleko emiwumbo gy'emmere bagitwale
sogera byange kibanza bana bagambanga ne bagamba ne bweyagala nkubulira ebyange jja tugende emyanzi
mpulira abanyumya babeera bakujerega waliko omusawo w'ekinansi e South Africa baba bakujerega obituufu
baba banjerega oyo mufere mubbi yennyini yeetaaga miggo
omuntu wa bulijjo tomuzanyirangako abeeranga dormant volcano bwemba mukkiriza nina takuwa mugiyita
ate takuwa gobeera mugoberezi tolowooza nti muli mulimo oyogerera omusiraamu singa naakubuuza nti Katonda yagamba atya
oba oli pasita ng'okyawa olimba obba oyenda olina abakazi basatu please heaven is waiting for you. One day you'll pay and soon your time is out.
Otisa moni.
Sitisa. Nkubulira Yesu talimba.
Ebintu mbimala mulundi gumu. Kati what is I love peace.
Gwokola byo.
Wegase n'omusajja mutwale mabi.